Those partners don't contribute enough to PTR for it to be worth the risk of cards getting leaked. I mean, yeah, it's understandable. If you've been a part of the PTRs, they don't really do much. Okay, April 2nd is patch day. We knew that already, right? That's nothing new. They're trying to rework the partner program due to a lack of Gwent team manpower, so it'll be more meaningful for partners. Also regarding the partner program, they don't want to include partners in the PTR for expansions anymore due to expansion cards being leaked in the past. And the partners don't contribute enough to PTR for the risk of cards getting leaked. Yeah, we've talked about this on stream before. We've talked about it in Discord too. This seemed like their reasoning. Even without the risk of leaks, it just seemed like the PTRs, they weren't getting much out of them anyway. Just in general. The signal to noise in the PTR discords was kind of ridiculous. However, Gwent partners will have a part in the reveal campaigns in the next expansion. Yeah, so they're not doing like a merchant's reveal anymore. The PTR list was wildly large. There were hundreds of people in the last PTR, if I recall. And you couldn't really find a game either. Like, no one was actually queuing up. It was mostly just deck builder and theory crafting. And for some people, that's enough, but for a majority of people in the PTR, they aren't really good theory crafters. Why is the text off center? It's Reddit. I can't move it over, can I? Roadmap update. 2 expansions rest of the year. 1 taking place in the summer, 1 taking place in the winter. This is less than I thought they'd be doing. I thought they'd be doing 3. I was really expecting 1 in April, though I guess like the new leaders are like a mini expansion sort of. If we're getting little things like these leaders throughout the year, I don't think this is a problem. Like, we don't really need full expansions for things to be shaken up. As long as we get like sizable balance patches and stuff like this, card reworks. You don't need a full expansion to have the game feel very different. Imagine like 30 people tops and y'all just did friend matches. No, there were a lot of people in the PTR. There's a lot of spam in the Discords. Could move the browser window. I mean, like, yes. Let's see. Where is... I mean, is this really better? This looks terrible too. Now there's like this big black bar. Let's do this.
Trinit friendly.
Hey, Real FC, thanks for 51 up. Thanks for the 11 months. Welcome back. You don't like card reworks, honestly? I like card reworks in the sense that it lets them make new effects without committing to releasing a full expansion. It doesn't limit the releases to the availability of art. Like, just because they're reworking something now doesn't mean they can't later introduce that same effect in an expansion if they think they're printing something that makes that ability relevant. It's bad for new player retention? I mean, it might be. I don't know, are new players playing these cards that are getting reworked? Like, were new players really playing Epidemic? I imagine they look at the stats before reworking stuff like that. There are a million cards like Bomb Heaver. Aren't there like 3? There's Bomb Heaver, Vivian, Frenzied Dow. New players hate it when they load the game after not playing for like 2 weeks and have no usable decks. That's fair. That's gonna happen just with balance patches in general, reworks or not. Whenever provisions get tweaked, they're gonna have unusable decks. I mean, there's a pretty big difference between, like, Tall Punish, which you can do in a variety of ways, and Bomb Heaver, which is just whatever the best destroy target artifact effect is in the game at the time. Not to say tar removal isn't binary, but it's binary in a different way. The game is shit because Bomb Heaver's around? No, but the point is the game would be better if Bomb Heaver wasn't around. Okay. Something called Special is coming out later this year. Hasn't been done before and is really exciting to work on. I have no idea what this could be. It's obviously not tournament mode, and auto chess is something that's been done before, so I don't think the speculation makes any sense. But it sounds special. Game be full of scenarios without bomb heaver. Well, you nerf the scenarios, you lower the point ceiling. The point is that balancing scenarios around 3 cards in the game existing isn't a particularly good design. Or not even 3 cards existing, one type of effect, which is destroy target artifact. If there are more ways to interact with scenarios other than just destroying them, then I'd have a different stance here. Like with tall units, you can reset them, you can kill them, you can damage them, you can do any number of things to tall units. You can kill them before they grow. But scenarios, you want to interact with the scenario to stop it from getting like the full value of spawning all parts of it. You just need to play Bomb Heaver or Frenzy Dow or Vivian. And that's what's keeping them in check. It would be better to not need that check and have them balanced around either just not being interactable in the first place or by having more ways of interacting with artifacts. Okay, trying to get more intuitive UI numbers and figures updating. Line pockets or hidden cache abilities. Line pockets is... It's DJ, isn't it? What's hidden cache? Is that the new one? That's the new one. Wait, what's the problem with DJ? Means like a splash +1. Get 1 extra. Oh, okay. I was thinking more like with King of Beggars, because they said with the hidden cache, they were gonna show it so that like the units that have Horde 4 will have Horde 1 instead when you mouse over them, and you have that leader. I thought that's what they meant by figures updating. I'm not sure how that's relevant for line pockets. Because, like, is that like you're turning like Prophet 4 effects into Prophet 5 effects because it's 2 procs? Maybe they just said the wrong leader. Maybe they meant King of Beggars. I don't know if King of Beggars does that currently. 2 or 3 ST cards will be changed that are not dwarves. SK cards will have a few changes as well. New keyword initiative will be added to Scorch and Igni. Said keyword designed so the card will be more powerful if it is the first thing you do in the round. No more non-inactive ping some orders. This should have been done like a year and a half ago. How old is this idea? I'm glad it's getting implemented, but good lord. Why did it take so long? Honestly, fuck the Legion, giving dog shit pathetic initiative ideas. What the fuck? No, this is a great change. The people saying that like Scorch and Igni are bad cards now, like sure they might be bad at their current provision cost, but this allows you to buff Scorch and Igni to provisions where they're not just like quote unquote clown cards. It's not like these cards were unplayable in beta when there were no order abilities at all to line them up the same turn. And I think the game's a lot more interesting when it's a game of like you do something to set your play up and your opponent tries to interact to deny your setup. When you're setting up your Scorch the same turn that you're using it, just kind of a bad game pattern. Potential new Wild Hunt cards coming into expansion. Wink. Cool. A bribery nerf that is or was considered is that bronze duplicates would account into the odds of showing it in the create pool. I think the card less competitive, I guess. Doesn't really make it less frustrating, but I guess makes it so that less people will play it, which makes it less frustrating. Beta, you could predict your opponent's Igni a lot better because of the 4 gold limit. Sure. It was also harder to like play around Igni in beta with Silver Spies. Igni's bad in actual setup decks and better in random one-off decks. Yeah, I mean, depends what's seeing play, right? If people are setting up Ignis for the opponent, then Igni's going to be better as a random one-off. But then when that's the case, you just gotta start respecting the card. Do not consider Bomb Heaver a problem. Yeah, I've had this conversation. I don't like the data-driven approach to this either. I feel like they're being too data-driven here. When it's like, I hate saying that like feelings kind of matter more than stats. But we're talking about game design, right? Like how your players feel about how they interact with the game sort of is more important than the actual stats. That's the thing, like, we're never gonna be in a situation where everyone runs Bomb Heaver or everyone's running scenarios. The metagame just goes in cycles. And, like, some days it's correct to run Bomb Heaver, some days it's correct to run scenarios. The statistics will check themselves. Because eventually people cut scenarios from their decks and people stop playing Bomb Heaver. I think I joined me as reference that Heaver wasn't appearing in decks entered into the Gwen Open. I just don't think it's relevant in general. Like, I don't think we're balancing around tournament play with that. I don't know. Bomb Heaver is definitely a more frustrating card on ladder when you don't know whether or not your opponent has it. In Conquest, it leads to really weird deck building dynamics. Where, like, again, sometimes it's correct to enter a tournament with Bomb Heavers and sometimes it's not. It just depends what level you put the metagame on. They're considering in the second half in September between the expansions returning leader card arts to become cards in the game. Oh. Cool. I guess. Most decks on Bomb Heaver use Royal Decree to pull out if they need it. Yeah. The ability for Royal Decree to be an optional Bomb Heaver. It's like back earlier in Homecoming, people played like Singleton. They started playing Royal Decree in order to get like Geralts. So they could mulligan the Geralt if they were in a matchup where they didn't know if it would be good. But Royal Decree became an optional copy of Geralt. I do have it. I have it right here. I assume this is the thing, right? Yeah. New resilience ability on a card again. Cool, I guess. Barclay Elves may have been changed. The Leeks. Zoltan Chevet has been changed. Pyrotechnician, 3 strength, 4 provisions, Zeal Order, destroy an allied artifact, damage unit by 2, cooldown 2. Will be changed to 4 strength, 4 provisions, order, damage a random enemy unit, and self by 4. What the fuck? How much armor are you really giving this to where you ever want to do this? So the new leader gives you 1 armor. So it's playing as a 5 for 4 in that deck. But like, how often do you even want to click this? 4 is kind of a big threshold. There's a lot of like random 1s, 2s, and 3s. Things that have random points of armor on the opponent's side of the board. I mean, the new Marauder plays as a 6, not a 4. Plays for 7 with the new Dwarf Leader. This plays for 5 with the new Dwarf Leader, and 4 by itself. Oh wait, Marauder. I thought we were talking about, what's the armor dude? Berserker. I thought we were talking about Berserker. It doesn't have Zeal? Well, it is Zeal. Oh, wait. Oh, no, it doesn't. Wait, what is this card? I thought it had Zeal. Yikes. So you play this and your opponent has a window to like play their armored unit, play something small, and make your card of questionable quality even worse. These are transcribed in the video, yeah. It did say random in the video. I remember seeing it. Seems kind of bad. Honestly, seems worse than old Pyrotech, which at least had its uses, right? I kind of like this card. Didn't have a ton of places to be played, but when you played it, it's pretty nice to have. Yarpin. Every allied turn on turn end, if there are no allied units on the battlefield, boost self by 3. It will be changed to 5 for 9. Damage an enemy unit by 3. Barricade, turn end, lose armor, boost self by that much. So what it plays is a base 9 for 9 in the new leader. There's got to be ways of giving dwarves armor that we just don't know about yet. They wouldn't evaluate this as a 9 for 9 if there wasn't very easy ways of giving armor. One of these other reworks has to be something to make like this and this more appealing. No, 6-0 in a turn before with a deck playing Pyrotex. Yeah, Pyrotex is a cool card. Card is literally Trollolo, but an ST. What? No, it's not. Trollolo, you click once. It's Trollolo in the sense that you can turn armor into points. It's just about it. Represents removal, can do it multiple times, is scaled up, has the dwarf tag. Doesn't give itself armor when you play... what is it, warfare cards? Svalblood 1-point leader. Oh, I didn't even think about that. I was thinking more in context of a Svalblood Totem. Svalblood Totem actually playing for positive provision value now. I mean, for all we know, they're nerfing Totem by a provision or two. Future of ST's design philosophy. Dryads will focus on harmony. Jason Olsener, they'll be exploring Dryad archetypes. We didn't want to elaborate past that. Does this mean we're gonna get less harmony on other tags? Because it seemed like what the direction of harmony was gonna be with, what was it, Crimson Curse? Set the first at harmony? And then you just started throwing harmony on everything. Like, we got a dwarf with harmony, we got elves with harmony, we got trees with harmony, we got beasts with harmony. That's sort of what put harmony over the top, was being able to play cards that proc harmony while developing more harmony engines. Are we going to be getting less of that and more just like back to mainly Dryads? They give each separate card too many things they're doing. I don't think that's a bad thing, as long as you're not wandering into the territory of cards being like too complicated to understand. And I think Gwent does a really good job of making their cards simple enough to understand by reading them once. Like, I'm trying to think of anything that... like, these have a lot of text, but it's pretty easy to understand what they're doing. I guess, like, Shoop. But... generally, there's not a lot of text on cards, and the text that is on cards is really easy to understand. Bank. Bank, yeah, Bank's probably a pretty egregious example. That's fair. Oh, I'm in Scoia'tael. Card text is easy to understand, but sometimes doesn't work as described. Yeah. Collusion? I don't think Collusion's that bad, is it? Bank is ridiculous. Bank... I don't know how this phrasing made it to production. There has to be a better way of phrasing this. We talked about that a bunch back when Bank was first leaked. Like, this has a lot of text on it, but is that hard to understand? Doggo? Don't get me started on Knickers. I hate this card. I hate this card a lot. It's the only card that doesn't say what it does, right? It doesn't say when the ability triggers. The ability text doesn't mean anything. This is one of my least favorite cards in the game. And it's purely just because of the way the ability is described. Raid isn't the word he's... yeah, exactly. It's not even keyworded. Like, it doesn't explain it in the tooltip anywhere. Like, does this mean it comes out on end of turn? When does it come out? What are the odds of it coming out? What can you do to make it come out? Like, we figured it out. Like, we know it's, what is it, 10% for each card missing from your hand? But it took a while to figure that out. Generally, you shouldn't have to play with the card to know what the card does. You should be able to interpret that just from the card text. And in general, I think Gwent does that very well. They're very good at managing the complexity with their abilities. Yeah, if you want to use it for flavor, that's fine, but there should be a tooltip explaining what that means. Like, when I right-click this card, I should have a summary of what that means exactly. But there's nothing here. There's no way to figure out what this does without playing with it. Or, like, Googling it. You literally didn't know the 10% thing until now. I think most players don't. What Purify actually can remove? Anything with a status. Is there anything that pops up as an icon on the card that isn't a status? Like, I think all the tooltips say status when something's a status as well. It requires a little more reading, I guess, but I think it's pretty intuitive what Purify does. Yeah, it's status. I guess the exact formatting of their tooltips could be a little better. Like, this is status, and then a dash. Bleed is status that damages a unit by 1. Tooltip consistency could be improved, I guess. That's the same, because it was implemented at the same time. Lock. Status that. What's a newer status? Is there a status that came out with merchants? Bounty. You can check Bounty. That is newer than Crimson Curse. Bounty status. Yeah, I don't know. Defender, sure. Let's check Defender. This is completely different. Okay, yeah. The tooltips could be formatted better. The tooltips definitely could be formatted better. This is kind of ridiculous. This doesn't even say status. Poison was Crimson Curse. Status dash. Unit receives. I don't know anymore. Yeah. Highest provision and highest power could be clarified better. Yeah. Yeah. That's mostly consistent though, right? There's double cross. Play the highest unit, and then something like Mata specifically says provision cost. Highest cost. Is there anything that would work weird? Goliath says highest, right? At least that's consistent. There's inability to read is not on the... I think Defender not saying it's a status in the tooltip is a problem. Would you disagree? Like, you can say some of the others matter a little less. Like, the formatting not being completely consistent between all the other statuses is less of a problem, but, like, it's straight up not saying it's a status. It's kind of silly. Yeah, shield too. When this one says status. I think problem with text is not... Yeah. It's a sign that there's something wrong with the text. Ideally, you want your cards to be easily understood. Like, do you think there's a problem with the phrasing on Vivaldi Bank? You don't care about large blocks of text? Bank to you is clear. I feel like this could be written in a much more concise way. Like, you want your cards to be easily understood. And that's, again, that's one thing that Gwent mostly does very, very well. I'm singling out Bank as one of the few cards that I actually have an issue with in this regard. I think just about everything else. Even if there's a lot of text, it's very easy to parse what the text does. I played Yu-Gi-Oh! This is nothing. Yu-Gi-Oh! is really bad about it. I can say CDPR does it well because I've seen what it is when games do it bad. Things don't necessarily have to have a lot of text to be overly complex either. But just interact in obscure ways with itself. Or interact with other cards in obscure ways. But yeah, like if we... Let me, This is always my favorite example. I think this card's actually got longer with erratas, but I think this is the original printing. I can zoom in more. This is a Yu-Gi-Oh card. This was a tournament level Yu-Gi-Oh card. What's another one that was more recent? Oh, what's the pendulum card? The magician thing? It's got a ton of text on it. Thing that got banned. Really any of these. They all have silly amounts of text. There's one that is especially bad. I don't think it's Double Iris. It's not Wisdom Eye. It's not Harmonizing. Oh, here we go. Astrograph Sorcerer. Oh, it's making me the image. How do I zoom in on the image? Oh, no. There's so much text on this card. There's like 3 different effects in here. Like, this is Yu-Gi. This is a recent card, too. This is from like 2016, 2017. It's not even that old. It is Astrograph Sorcerer. If a card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then you can choose one monster in the graveyard, extra deck, or that is banished. And that was destroyed this turn. And add one monster with the same name from your deck to your hand. Then another effect, you can banish this card you control, plus 4 monsters from your hand, field, or graveyard, each with Pendulum Dragon, XYZ Dragon, Synchro Dragon, and Fusion Dragon in their names, and special summon one Supreme King Zark from your extra deck. This is treated as a fusion summon. So 2 effects. Just 2 really long effects, and then another effect up here. Your cards are all like this? No, Magic is pretty concise. There are some cards in Magic that are silly, but for the most part, like when we looked at like this whole archetype, every card here has a lot of text. Like this is nothing out of the ordinary. There are some really extreme cases, but for the most part, Yu-Gi-Oh cards are extremely complicated. Like if we scroll through like an average Magic set, there's a few lines here, mostly reminder text here. Mostly reminder text here. This has a few effects, but they're all pretty simple. They're separated by lines. Things are keyworded. Magic's another game that does a very good job of making sure the effects are simple. Planeswalkers are pretty full of text. Yeah, but it's like separated into easy to understand chunks. Rarely is like an ability that your opponent's using a lot of text by itself. They try to make loyalty abilities, at least individually, simple to understand. Whereas again, like we read that Yu-Gi-Oh card, it had 5 lines of text with multiple ands stringing it together. Like there was nothing simple about Astrograph Sorcerer. There was nothing simple about Thousand Eyes of Strict either. Richard Garfield isn't even involved in Magic anymore. And saying that Magic does one thing wrong doesn't mean that Magic does nothing wrong. I'm not, like, praising Magic as the best card game of all time. Okay. Dwarves will focus on resilience and armor. Tough guys. Dwarves are also getting reworks and buffs. Where did these leaks come from? The Merchants of Novigrad podcast. Slama was on. And leaked a lot more than I was expecting him to. Magic is the first good card game. I would argue a lot of games have iterated on what Magic did better, but just never got a foothold in. because it didn't do it uniquely enough. Just being better isn't enough in the card game market. Elves focus will be to deal damage. Ooh. Interesting. Okay, here's the exciting part, I think. New leader abilities. Skellige gets Blaze of Glory, 15 provisions. Order, move a Skellige unit from your deck to your graveyard and damage an enemy by its power. They don't rebalance cards in Magic. If something needs to change, they ban it. So if you send Yutta, you set up Significance right. You deal 12, but how often are you gonna actually get full value on that? I don't know. It's hard to imagine this being better than Iced or Bran. Not that Bran is good. Oh, maybe it's better than Bran. But what wants this? You get a finisher, but Ice does finishers better, you know? Better than Iced? How is it better than Iced? It's also a tutor. Sort of. It puts it to your graveyard, which matters for what? It matters for Yutta for Significance right? 24-point swing, deal 12, press 12. The problem is there's not a lot of 12s. A lot of the time you're going to be dealing like 7. I think you'd rather Significance right than Hjalmar. You don't want there to have to be 2 big targets for you to get value on your leader. Use leader on Morkvarg for 10. You're putting a 9 provision card in your deck to play a 10-point leader. That seems not good, right? Is its removal? Ugh. 15p. Great ability for a tall meta. Shamar doesn't even give you more value than Sig when you factor in Chrome Mother. You find perfect target. Yeah. I know, you can also just like res your Morkvarg. Your good Morkvarg. The 10 provision Morkvarg. The tall removal Morkvarg. With Iced. And Ice does so many more things too. Like if Wild War of the Sea wasn't a card. And like there weren't great Ice targets for various matchups, maybe I'd agree. But I think Ice does everything better now. They've printed enough good Skellige cards for different situations. That like Wild Boar covers you wide, Morkvarg covers you tall. You don't need something like Blaze of Glory. I guess we'll get an Ozrel. They have Significance right. Significance right is Ozrel. Works the best it does. 5 removal, 5 body. Nah, Yutta's better. Yutta into Sig's right, but ugh. Does it ever make sense in Lippy? I don't think so. It's gonna depend on the card pool. I think generally even Lippy's gonna rather have Iced if it can afford to play Iced. The reason to play Svalbard right now is it just needs more top-end cards. I don't think Blaze of Glory gives you more top-end cards. This one works like playing 161p leader that gives you 10 points, yeah. How much value from a 15p leader should you expect? How many provisions is Iced? Iced is 1 less provision. I'm pretty sure you get more value out of Patricidal Fury. And Patricidal Fury has more provisions. And this is just looking at Skellige. If you want to compare cross-faction, like I don't think it's very close. Formation seems like a much, much better ability. At 15. Enslave is a much, much better ability. I mean, Emir's a little too combo-based to really say. But like, comparing cross-factions kind of disingenuous. What matters is the other options. Imposter. 13... Oh, wait, I skipped one. Hidden Cache. 15 provisions. Order, gain 3 coins on round start, refresh this ability. Your hordes require 3 less coins to trigger. So what is this relevant for? The obvious things are Boat, Sol, Sea Jackal, Passiflora Peaches. Oh, there's really not that many horde cards. So the ones that it's actual points on are Jackal. It's like roughly 2 more points per Jackal. When you start spending on 9, you go 9, 7, 5, 3. Oh. When you start spending on 8, you go 8. It's 1 more point. It's only ever 1 more point. Killer becomes horde. It's 2 more from 9. 9, 7, 5 is where it would stop. Then it goes to 3, and it needs horde 4. So it's 1 more. It gets the 1 extra proc on 5. I mean, you get to like use your leader ability, I guess, and you get 2 more by giving 3 coins. So you go from 5 to 8. If you're on 9, you go 9, 7, 5, 8, 6, 4. And that's kind of cool. I mean, Boat for 6 is kind of cool. I think it's better than King of Beggars most of the time. One of the big appeals to King of Beggars is being able to pull boats without things being awkward. And I mean, this guy makes it even less awkward. It's 15 provisions. There's so many provisions. Beggars is more flexible. Even if you're only playing 2 rounds, it's still at least 6 points, right? It's the same raw points as King of Beggars when you ignore the secondary ability. And I don't think it's hard to imagine this getting more value than reducing all tributes by 1. Range is broken. Yeah, when the metagame is good for Slander Graydon is disgusting. Man, 9, 7. You go to 5, you go to 8. 8, 6, 4. So from 9 in a leader ability, you get 5 procs in your Jackal. 5 horde procs. That's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. I don't know. It might not. Because like with King of Beggars, you also get the extra procs when you use your charges. You just use your King of Beggars on 7. Or on 5 or whatever. But using all of your charges, you're getting 1 less extra point on your Jackal. You're only getting 4 instead of... No, you're still getting 5 from 9. That's your whole leader. Extra procs from things like Graydon, filling your bank with other leaders. Yeah. I don't know. I could see it being good. I just don't think it's kind of like the same kind of problem as like the other Syndicate leaders, right? Like it's interesting, but it's not like good in its own way. If it's good, it's just good in the same mid-range Syndicate deck that all the other Syndicate leaders are good in. Because the horde cards you'd play with this are the same horde cards that are already good in the other decks. Maybe you play Peaches. I don't think you play Mutant Killer, but maybe you play Peaches. But yeah, exactly. It means you just swap like 2 cards. Like this deck swaps more than 2 cards, and I still consider this like the same as the other Syndicate decks. Can't play Bronze Guard and Syndicate that aren't Spender, Coin Generator, Poison. Yeah, I mean, even the golds all end up being the same golds. Because you're not going to not play Luisa Savola. I don't know. Everything in this faction just feels so samey. Okay, Nilfgaard, Imposter. 13 provisions. I think there's no chance in hell you play Vanilla Peaches. Maybe. Probably. Order, lock an enemy unit, then spawn its base copy in the opposite row, boosted by 2. This is a summon, right? Because it goes to the opposite row, so you don't place it. $13 provs. What is this good for? The Novigrad mirror. You like... Wait, why? What is this good against other than Elder Bears? But what tall units? It's not like it destroys their tall unit. It just locks it. And you're getting a base copy, so if you try to hit something like Azrael or Yigin, you're just gonna die, or get you no value. Revenge is usually a shitty Ardal. Yeah, it's less provisions than Ardal. It doesn't remove it. Vanamar and Vadier. I guess? It's not terrible. It's sort of like... It's like almost Slander Graydon. Would you have to carry extra shitty locks? You could just reserve your leader for the Vanamar. It's not like you ever not draw your leader. Your leader... I mean, you could say the same thing about, like, Wildcard Graydon. Can you win round 1? I mean, if the rest of your deck can't win round 1, then why are we talking about our 1-card finisher package? Like, if my other 24 cards can't win round 1, or can't survive the bleed, and that's a problem with those other 24 cards. Big target needs to be for 2 worth. Yeah, that's the issue. It also needs to have not only a lot of power, but something you're getting value out of the copy. It's also like, what, a third worse than Slander Graydon? Sort of. Kind of. Slander Graydon, you get coins, boost, and you destroy. With this, you just get the unit and you destroy it. But you don't have the... I guess the cost doesn't even matter. So the leader pays the cost. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know what this is good against. When I first read this, I thought it played it. And it was a lot more interesting. It's good against Old Spear Tip. I mean, it's 12 points against Old Spear Tip. And then if you have the Vanamar, it's more. But... yeah. I don't know. Just play instead of spawn. Well, then I think it's very good. Then you're getting deploys. That's a huge difference. I mean, Oak... You're locking their Oak and getting a 7. It's not good. Because you don't get the deploy. Oh, right. You get 2 points. Sure. You get a 9. But still, like, you don't care about locking Oak. The stuff it's good against is stuff like the Beast or things that are tall. But, like, the Beast is better answered by, like, Ardal 6. You're just straight up removing their thing. It's fine in no unit. Just... Get out of here. Not a bad defender copy. It's good against some defenders. It's kind of bad against the Nilfgaard defender. You get a 4. Plus you're locking it, you're not killing the defender. They still have theirs. Operator with Master Skies, turn 1 double engine. Okay. They start at 3, right? Oops. Yeah. So it grows to 4, and then to 5. Yeah, I don't know. I think people are overreacting to this. Maybe I'm just missing something. I don't see there being enough decks you want this against. It's gonna be obnoxious for sure. I mean, it's less obnoxious than Usurper. People that want to be obnoxious are just gonna play Usurper. Mahakam Forge. 15 provisions, order, spawn, and play Tempering. All dwarfs in your starting deck get 1 armor. It's kind of impossible to evaluate this without knowing what the rest of the dwarf changes are. If you assume you're always going to get value on the armor, that it's like a 7-point order, and then you get a bunch of incremental value from the armor. It's boring now, but depending on what gets reworked, it could be cool. I like leaders like this that are giving you incremental value throughout the game. It's just whether this armor is relevant on enough cards to where it can translate the points reliably. 3-1 armor on every card is pretty good. Yeah, certainly in some matchups, yeah. Like if Siege comes back, pretty easily translates to 1 point. Some Berserkers is kind of good. I mean, it unnerfs your Berserkers. It makes what is it? This card we know about, deal 4 instead of 3. New 0-point leader? No, there's plenty of ways to get value on the armor, and it gives you a 5 to 7-point card. I don't think you'll have issues getting 7 out of your Tempering. Monsters. Overwhelming Hunger. 13 provisions. Destroy an allied unit and spawn an Ekimara in its row and boost by the destroyed unit's power. Charge 3. I like that they're kind of trying to bring back a Deathwish leader to replace the old Elder. I kind of hate that it's just like 3 charge instead of a refresh ability, though. That was one of the cool things. That was probably the most cool thing about old Elder, was it incentivized you to play multiple rounds. I would much prefer to see this get like a provision buff and just have the once per round rather than charges. Hunger's the ability you've been waiting for. I mean, it's definitely good. It's got a floor of 6. It doesn't double dip on Death Wishes like the old Elder did, but you get the 2-point floor per charge. It's basically 1 per round. Yeah, but it's not forced. You're not incentivized to play 3 rounds with the ability. You can just save all your charges for round 3 like any other one-shot. Monsters has some pretty good cards. Jurgen and Larva, Ada. I don't think Detlef and the Raucous Queen are particularly good leaders. Or anyone say AQ plays no leader. I think he's probably worth about like 15 points over a game. Maybe a little less. I guess the big problem with AQ is it's making you play organics instead of cards that trigger Larva. If you save all your charges, play a couple organics, and play Glusty, I think it's hard to imagine that it's 10 points. The thing about AQ is it just looks a lot worse when you consider like the best card in Monsters is in Larva, and you can't efficiently play in Larva. If you're saving your leader charges, you're losing the game for sure. What? It's not that rare that you make it to round 3 with all your charges. I mean, you got a 4-card round, you play like an A-Rush. You play a Feast of Blood to line up your Glusty on one of their units. You go like Glusty and Lorith. What Death Wish are you procking? Well, it's a way that lets you proc your Death Wishes the turn that you play them. That doesn't require some setup. So maybe it makes decks want to play Marina if Marina's good again. But like not getting double procs in Marina kind of sucks. I don't know. It replaces Karen for things like that. Yeah, Detlef. You lose the points of the base unit? No, you don't. You boost the Ekimara. It's like the Ekimara consumes it. So you consume Maruna, you get the Ekimara as a 6. NR. Uprising. 14 provisions. Order it, boost an allied unit by 1. Charge 4. Once all charges are used up, spawn and play Lyrian Scytheman. Parasite will be core and hungry, so you don't get 100% fucked by Marl. Oh, that's true too. That's true too. This is a leader that plays around Marl. For a charge instead of a full ability. That's really cool. Boost an allied unit by 1, charge 4. Once all charges are used up, spawn and play Lyrian Scytheman. So one of the issues that Lyrian Scytheman decks usually have is just how interactable they are. You spend time buffing up your board and your opponent's just doing things they want to be doing anyway, just damaging your units to knock you off Lyrian Scytheman. Your Scythemans don't play for good value. But when you're able to boost things the same turn, like you can just have 4 units in play, unboosted. I might be dreaming a little too big about like a Lyrian Scytheman deck, but you just have 4 unboosted units in play at the start of your turn. You boost them all up. You get a Scytheman here, plays for 7. So your leader's played for 11, and then you can play a Scytheman from your hand at the same turn, and that Scytheman plays for 8. Then obviously you can like protect your engines a little more effectively than Meave could, because you can use multiple charges in one turn. I think cards from leader is so much better. Yeah. Yeah. It's better Meave for sure. Probably. It's the same, like, raw points as Meave, right? More raw points than Meave. But you lose some provisions. Meave caps at, like, 8 or 9, depending on, like, modas and stuff. You get much better distribution. You can also go, like, Jam of Isogoda, throw 4 charges on it, and ask your opponent if they can deal 7. That's probably less good, but it's funny. No other leader ability does that right now, right? The closest thing would be, like, Pincer out of Defender. What's going on here? We're talking about the Leeks from the Merchants of Novigrad podcast. Yeah, it makes Visigood better, makes any Scytheman you want to play from your hand better. Why is it got a Knighthood maneuver? Yeah, okay, sure. You got me there. Context of turn allows you to play around and move with information of the opponent's deck. Yeah, yeah. Much more effectively than Meave does. Yes? Pretty sure the answer to that is yes. Let's not talk about a leader ability that damages every unit played on the board. Your set opponents. And says this leader's busted. Oh shit. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. This does get to play Ansis. Huh. Yeah, I mean, that's basically... what was it? When people, like, pincered out Thunderbolt. Or, I guess, pincered out Stennis. Is the one? Yeah. It's basically that, right? You get to play your thing, you can boost it for 4 if you really want to. You can distribute it better if you don't. And you get a Scytheman, which makes up for the body on Stennis. Usually bigger than the Stennis. I already have Full Test. Full Test is less charges and doesn't give you a Scytheman at the end. Full Test is very different. Yeah, like, Voltus really wants to be used on things that are higher impact, like Commandos. Oh, that's all of them? That's all the leaks? Final notes. The balance team has tried to get patch notes a day before the patch, but due to translation issues, it proves harder than originally anticipated. Just release the Polish notes! I'll take them. Please! I'm not picky. Give them to me in any language. I just want something. A Twitch question but asked if there's a seasonal mode of classic Gwent where there are no provision limits and deck is planned. Jason answered that was something he always wanted to do but wasn't planned this year and wants to be special and not seem like it was sneezed out. I don't think they do Gwent into Polish. Whatever language they do it in, just release it in that language. I'll Google Translate my way through. I will survive. We talked about the result of should we continue controller support poll. Polls indicate support will be continued. Oh, cool. That matters for some people. Makes the transition a little less brutal for the console friends among us. They get to still play with their controlled input method. Preferred input method. Google Translate is better than waiting. It's one less day of having to play ladder before the patch. I value those highly. Okay, did I miss anything here? Is there anything important to talk about? I think we talked about everything. What they do to Zoltan? I don't think we know. It just says that he has been changed. He didn't go into any details. That's why, like, all the elf changes are hard to evaluate right now, because a bunch of elf things are changing. Like I said, 2 or 3 SD cards that are changed that are not dwarves, but we don't know how many dwarves are getting changed. We know of 2 exact reworks. Barclay might be getting changed, Zoltan might be getting changed, and there might be some other stuff as well. I mean, it sounds like this patch is pretty big. I don't think we need expansions to shake up the game as long as things are changing. Probably the same meta. I mean, at the very least, there's gonna be new things to experiment with. Here's not a problem. I don't like their justification. I don't like the statement, but whatever. I mean, whether you put the blame on Bomb Heaver or scenarios. Like, scenarios are what they are because Bomb Heaver exists. If Bomb Heaver didn't exist, or artifact removal in general didn't exist, scenarios would obviously change as well. You just want the fucking scores back? Yeah! I'm on Wilson's team here. I am on Wilson's team here. They haven't said anything specific or give a timeline for data. And every time that they have mentioned like what data they want to give, it's like data from last year, which is a year too late. Next expansion is this summer, but there's a bunch of reworks this patch. On April 2nd. Not even someone to analyze data, someone to literally present it. I mean, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, personally, I'd be happy with just, like, an API with raw data, but if they want to make, like, fancy articles and stuff, spruce up the data, explain their conclusions, what they think about things, then sure. Leader I'm most excited for? Probably the monsters one. I like the design of this one, but I have to see like what the other dwarves are. It's pretty impossible to evaluate this right now. These are like the exact kind of leader that I'd like to see more of. Things that give incremental value throughout the game. Whereas, I guess this was kind of cool too, but it's in Syndicate, so who cares? Uprising's the most busted? I don't know. Uprising's good. I don't know if it's busted. Is it a partner program? People that make YouTube or Twitch content are part of a Discord group for partners. It doesn't mean very much currently, which is why they're trying to make it more meaningful. Let's see how many people are in the in the Discord. There's like almost 200 people in the Discord right now, including a couple of CDPR people. New ST leader. All elves now say humans to the sea on deploy. Ooh. That's my kind of leader. Okay. I think we're out of Leek content to talk about. It's kind of sad. Is it time for Blood and Wine side quests? I guess we'll do the Unseen Elder route, and then we'll do side quests. If no one else has any Gwent questions. No more playthrough. It'll probably be the last day of Witcher 3. I'll like do a poll in Discord for another game to play. Oh no. Not you, Heijin Maru. Anyone but you. Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. There should be other videos you can watch over here and over here. Be sure to check out my Patreon in the video description, and I stream every day on Twitch from 1 AM to 7 AM, and you can find that link in the description below as well. Deck lists are in the description as always. Thanks for watching.